All right, let's let's get this thing rolling here, shall we? We got Escoterica and Professor Leonard here. Escoterica. So let's begin with a short section from Leonard.
Hey everybody, I felt it kind of necessary
Now,
considering
Leonard,
what's happened.
you
in the
know
past
I'm a
couple
math
weeks.
guy. You know it. I
I'll share that
got
with you in a
video
second.
proof of
To-
it.
to
I
give you
can't
a word of
deny the
encouragement.
vector
So,
positions and the prime and
It's,
the.
I've been a math guy my whole life,
I mean,
and so I kind of came to the realization last few weeks that it's not easy. It's not easy being a math person.
Let me explain
it's not
why.
easy to enjoy math in kind of the world right now. It's not very, at least in
I've been studying
American culture, it's
necromancy
not very
today
cool to
and
be a math
a whole bunch
person.
of other stuff.
And so what had happened, I made this shirt up because I wanted this channel to be something that I believe in. And my belief is that I believe in you. I believe that
There's
you
a
can actually do
reality
this stuff.
to it.
And so
It's
I
in one
created this
half.
shirt
I want to
and
be very
sent it to
clear.
one of my
You can
friends,
do a
and
lot from
the
here,
immediate thing that
but in
happened
itself
was
it's
he
pretty
made fun of it.
nasty.
I was like, man, I
Are
thought we
you
were friends. And at
are
first
you
it was
doing
like, oh, it's
something with
kind of
it? Though
funny
the
that you
difference
made
is,
fun of
yeah,
it and
well,
all
today's
that, but
standards, it's
the more I got to think about it, the more it really started to bother me.
there's chemistry,
Because I've been
which
fighting
has
this my whole
mathematics.
life.
You can
The fact
certainly
that
do some of
when
the
I say, oh, I
mathematics
like
and the
math, you're a dork.
alchemy and
I mean, and I
dip
own
in
it. I am a dork. I get
a
it.
penny in mole's
But
blood and
isn't
put
it
it into the
discouraging,
church
you know,
to, oh,
sometimes
good God.
that,
You know,
that
it's just like,
this
I
wonderful
mean, once
thing
you think
that we
about
love
the
is
electron
hated on
traveling
by a
down
lot
the
of
road
people who are
here
either
and what the
ignorant
hell
to
was
it, don't
going
see
on
the
in
value in
town
it, or
about the
frankly don't care
Vitruvian
about it.
man
And
and
it's
the
really sad.
sneaky
And so I
topo
wanted
problem
to
from
just
3B,
encourage you
1B.
that
And it's like
if
basically
you love this
magical
stuff,
alphabetic
don't let
symbols
people
of
take that
power.
away from you. This math it's incredible.
Now,
Um, you gotta figure
you
that
gotta
this is one of the most
you're gonna have to
beautiful
power
forms
through
of
some of
art
that,
we have, where
not
every
to get all
brushstroke
that fancy
represents
horse
a
shit. A
picture
lot
of
of
the
that's
world
just
around us that
going
is
toe to toe
nearly
with it,
indescribable,
whatever
such
it might be.
detail that you can't deny the beauty. That's what we do.
We
And
kind of
that's what math
updated
is.
it so
And
it's
so
still
the
much
love
more
of that,
useful
don't let
and
people take that
interesting
away just because they don't understand
than some of this. But
Um,
I don't
just
want to take
because
away from our
they
good
think it's not worth
esoterics
their
teacher
time.
over here.
You're onto something that is beautiful in the study of math. And the more that you get into it, the more that you understand it, the prettier that it really is. So I
Well,
would
remember,
encourage
from
you
here
to
you're
stick
just going to
with
get
it.
this. This is
That you
Necronomicon.
can do it.
This
I
is,
really
well,
do believe this shirt
Cambridge's
isn't a bunch of
Necronomicon,
junk. I really believe in you.
trigonometry
that
class
you are
for
learning
whatever
from
it
it.
is.
It takes
Now,
a lot of
when you
time
actually
and
get
effort
into
to
it,
search out
thank you,
math,
Leonard.
all right?
Thank you, Leonard. We'll be back with another one of
Sometimes you
yours
wanna be
real quick. Let's go grab another one of his works real quick. Just to keep him in context, I just don't want to kick him out on this. And because as a master mason, it's fucking useful to get him down at the blackboard. Have questions. And what it is arbitrary for you to ask questions and somebody to help you work it out. There are camps, there are stations, the math is good on that about what that looks like. But in the end of it, you kind of have to be a little bit more careful. So we just did that one. We'll go back to this one here. I'll just kind of cut into the middle here because born in rule. That symbol, when I say born in rule, is sigma equals wave function lambda, right? You know, that's a born in rule. If you're in the area pi over 2 for what might be relative for a subject matter like that. So as much as I'd love to find the spell to find women and get them to dance around naked for me, oh, we know it's gravity. There's going to be physics involved in here, and you might be able to pull off some extra stuff if you're factoring it.
Here's the way the triangle.
So let's see if we can stay with it here.
If one imagines a book of magic, the image that comes to mind will be a substantial tome
That's just
filled with
my regular
arcane
Mason's book.
incantations, ancient
Incantations.
languages,
How do I
and most
summon
of
Dal?
all, complex and strange symbols. The practice
Now,
of European magic is
when
inextricably
Dal,
linked with the
let's say
symbolic.
over
But what are
timelines,
the origins of
yes,
this collection
these maths
of
are
symbol
good.
systems? When and
Let's
how
say
did these
over
symbols come to
timelines,
be?
Dal is no
And
longer
how have
with
they
us.
changed over the millennia of
I mean,
magical
it's sad. It would be
practice?
sad.
This
We
video
miss
will
Dal
explore
very much. You know
one
Dal.
specific set
Dave.
of symbols,
Dave.
their
We're going
origin
to use
and
Dave.
development. The ringlet adorned
Now,
script of
inside
astral
of there,
signs,
how do I
magical
summon Dave
seals,
into
demonic
here,
sigils, and the
given,
alleged alphabet of the very angels themselves?
you know,
I'm Dr.
arbitrary
Justin
design? Now,
Sledge,
from that
welcome to
hot
Esoterica,
mess, there was no
where we explore
geometry
the
in it
arcane
whatsoever.
side
This
of
is a
history,
type of geometry,
philosophy, and
but
religion.
you don't even see that in there. You won't see this type of kick with it because this is, you know, what is it? X equals CT, CT equals da 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 da, or whatever he's going to pile out down here, and I'm going to have a reference to it. This very vague, but no offense to Leonard, he's in a classroom. You're paying him to do things, and if that thing helps you in a drop of a hat, Leonard, Professor Leonard, how do I get the sign of the stone mill? I mean, how do I get the sign of the tread line, let alone the sign of the entirety of the stone mill? They are equal in the same track for what you're dealing with here, given what sign or standards you're dealing with. So it all zeros and X's and does a whole bunch of stuff. But you're going to need some form of general gravity, or at least the process to begin to follow, right? This is that. This is a different cosine of a sine. This is a proper index of describing trigonometry back through eschatology, esoterics. Here we're staying more locally to the in-depth sectors of today for early trajectories. And inside here you're going to see a lot of this type of stuff, you know, scribbles on something inside here about
that three forces came together for the production of magical symbolism
X, Y, and
as
Z.
we now know it.
You know, but that goes back to that geometry. You're going to get a lot of, alright, so here's a line, here's a line, and here's a line, and no matter how I orientate those lines inside here, that's what that means. Now, X's and O's and 1s and 0s for the bits and bytes on this thing, yes, they do this. There's reasons once I have limits that the sine or the cosine, I need a theta, which has to, well, he says the Ankh in Egyptian timeline also had a numerological value or some life could be roughly 60, 80 years. Maybe there's a wave function on that about, you know, well, it's not every 60 years, not like 60 years then I pop out a kid. It's going to be 60 years and then there's a kid in there, and then you get older out to 60, they might have a kid, and so that's that kind of tangent math that I can't just go, oh, well, generations go 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, and then there's 5 generations. There's probably actually more generations in there than that, and that's pretty comprehensive to what type of information set you might deal with. Probably something just loose lit off with the name, the dominion, the, you know, something that might pop up in there for what those ideas look like. Now that still needs an after-action report. That still needs what had happened. Let's look at some of these tomes. Some are almost written like they're active scribes while going through the information. Some are a look at, how would I want to say it? They're look at, alright, so I'm here in the future, this is what are recountable by the situation and anything that kind of gives it an I value. So there's a real place in the esoterics inside here where the black body comes up, or where the wave function acted a little weird given the information that's in context to that information.
Linguistic, philosophical, and mystical shifts seem to have come together in the magical practices of Greco-Egypt.
Well, we did one earlier from 8,800 BC, and the
power of the written script. At the same time that knowledge of hieroglyphics
was
decline, the use of Greek script was becoming dominant.
Hold on.
This is marked by the rise
the
of the Coptic language.
Yeah, well, anyway, inside of there, look, there was a lot of things, you know, what goes on between A to B on this timeline is like, that's 365 days in a year with the algorithm of 8,800 BC.
So we have the Egyptian language persisting,
you know,
although knowledge of the
so you have to be careful while analyzing this information not to get too much into it. He also brings up a topic of J.R. Are Roland Tolkien's Lord of the Ring guy creating your own language? Well, this is the ticks and the clicks and the things that do. Maybe they can't compete against that standard. It works so well in here that somebody's
These
early
symbols tend to appear
training,
primarily in
wizardry,
language,
necromancy,
papyri. What's conspicuous
you
is
know,
that in the
Order of
demonic
the
magical
Skull
papyri,
over
the
there,
magical
for the
text
Cult of
still
the
written
Skull
in the Egyptian
is
language in
a
the
lot
demonic
about limit,
script do
omega.
not contain
Now I don't know
these
when that
magical
symbol
symbols
come
in
up or
any
why
number
one
like
of
the
them
Greek text.
over the
It appears what we
indexes
might have
of
are
whatever
Greco-Egyptian
might
clients
value in
using
there, but
magical
certainly there'd be the
devices
top limit as a
written in
Master Mason. But I
hieroglyphics.
can only
However,
really
the
climb as
actual
high
original
as one of
experts
these
are no
Master
longer able
Masons
to
would go.
produce documents in hieroglyphics
You know, it's
or
going to
even
start to
demonic at
cause a
that point,
problem at some
and they're
point in time,
improvising
which is
on
the
the spot.
Doomslayer, DL over
Study of the text
DT,
from the second to the
kind of
fourth
a thing. I'm a
centuries,
student,
hundreds of
paying
texts, show
tuition.
that the
I need
12
you to
most
give me
common
more than
magical
I just got to
symbols
follow the
appear
book
very
you
much
did and
like
paint
Greek
by
letters,
numbers
although some of them
off
do begin
of,
to
you know,
appear
these
like
two
geometric
vector
shapes,
positions that
and
go
some of
into
them
this
are also beginning to
position with a
show
little bit
the
of
ringlet
reality
terminators
sprinkled into
on the
there to
script
make
itself.
Bernoulli's pain
There's a lot
train
of
just a
debate about
little bit
exactly
more
why these
interesting.
ringlets begin to appear on the script.
Or
My theory
hoodoo
actually
voodoo
connects
you
those
been doing.
ringlet symbols with the most
So anyways,
powerful
no,
Egyptian magical
both are
symbol that
good
exists.
things, but like I said, I would
The
suggest
the
you
very
take,
symbol
at
for
least from
life
here,
and
again, you're not in the
magical
class,
resurrection, the
you're not in the
core
class,
concept
you're not
of indigenous
actively in the
Egyptian
training
religion.
studies
Here we
and
can see
things
an
like
image
that,
of
so at
an
least take them
ankh
with a grain of
with
salt.
the large
When you get up
tropical
here to certain,
typical
and I don't mean to say
symbol in
levels,
hieroglyphics,
but
also
feel me
notice
out
at the
for a
end of the
moment if you
terminators,
could.
little ringlets have already
I'm not a
appeared
real
on the
big
symbol
chemist, but I'm going to
itself.
still use the
An image from the
terminology
Greek
in chemist.
magical
It's like,
papyri
you know, when you
in
get
which
out
a
here
god usually
on
referred to
YouTube
as
and stuff
Necropolis,
nowadays with those kinds of
the
ideas,
headless one,
you're going to
is,
start to hit a
shown
wall
here
if
holding
you're not into
its hand, which is
Kardashians
typical of
or
Egyptian symbolism, but
whatever
notice here that
voodoo
the
you've been
symbols
doing.
are now at the
But inside of the,
terminators
eventually you mass out, and
crossbar
this
of
stuff starts to be
notches at the
good for a
top.
little while,
I
then you
think that
fight
the
it for a
loop
little
top
while, then you're
attached
kind
to
of
the
going
Greek
back into
claw
it, never really
and the
sure if
eventual power
you're
of the
safe,
Christian claw
because as
contains
a
incredibly
mathematician
powerful
myself,
symbolism in the
you know,
syncretistic
I
world of
might say
Greco-Egyptian
something that's
magic.
off the
I
course.
think
Yes,
that the
I'm
ringlet
sure
at
it's
the top
probably
of the ankh
correct,
is actually
but when the
transferred
momentum
to
of the kids in
terminators
the
of
class
that
by
letter
that vote
and
change,
fusing them, so
oh,
to
she
speak,
got
with
some
magical power.
charm, let me tell you.
As these magical signs
So it's something I
increase
want you
more
to take
and more
into
in popularity,
consideration
more and more
about
of these
context
ringlet
like this.
features appear at the terminators of the